Hello and welcome back to Living the Reno and another episode of our Ikea kitchen remodel series. This is actually the last step in our kitchen remodel, and that is to be installing a drawer underneath this farmhouse sink. So in today's video, we're gonna have a little bit of an Ikea hack for you. Originally, we were gonna do something very custom and buy different drawer slides and build a custom box and everything to make this drawer work. Because we have these 2x4 supports for the weight of the farmhouse sink, as well as there's plumbing in the back, so the standard Ikea fittings aren't gonna work. But we have a workaround for that. A standard Ikea base cabinet is 24 inches deep. However, they also make what's called a shallow cabinet, which is actually only 14 3/4 of an inch deep. And they also have accessories that go with those, such as a drawer to match that cabinet. So that depth is gonna work out perfect because it won't go all the way back to the plumbing stack. And if we use the low Ikea drawers, it'll clear our P-trap no problem. So this cabinet is 24 inches wide. And then obviously you have to minus the width of the panels themselves plus the 2x4s. We can easily fit an 18-inch cabinet in between here. So essentially we're gonna build a cabinet and we're gonna stick it inside of this cabinet. Obviously we're gonna have to cut it down to height and probably take out the back so we can obviously access the plumbing. But then we'll be able to install the standard Ikea drawer slides, well, the shallow ones, and the drawer that goes with it. And then we're just gonna have to get a little bit creative with the drawer front, because we're gonna have a full 24-inch drawer front going on an 18-inch cabinet. And then we're gonna have to put a cover panel on the top to cover the difference. But let's get started and build the cabinet. I must say, building another cabinet as one of the last steps of this kitchen was a little bit funny. I decided the easiest way was to build the cabinet as normal and then cut it down to size, similar to what we did with the main sink cabinet. With the cabinet built, I measured the exact height needed and transferred that onto the cabinet. After cutting the cabinet down, I cut out the back panel, but I left some in place to keep the cabinet more square. The cabinet fit perfectly into the space. It cleared all the plumbing and still left enough room to access the shutoffs. I made sure the cabinet was centered and flush with the front. I then used some cabinet screws to attach them together. To keep the side panels from moving around, I also installed some L brackets, attaching them to the sink's plywood base. Now it was time for the drawer. After building the drawer itself, it was time to figure out the drawer front. I needed to make new holes for the attaching brackets, as the front is 24 inches and the drawer is 18 inches. Also, because the cabinet is inside another cabinet, I had to accommodate for the height difference of 3/4 of an inch for the other base panel. As the instructions called for, the 2 metal brackets were supposed to go on these 2 bottom holes, and the 2 plastic clips on these 2 above them. Interestingly enough, these holes are 3/4 of an inch apart from each other. So I'm going to treat this hole as the new bottom one to lower the drawer front that 3/4 of an inch. After drawing a line across, I then put the metal clips into the drawer itself and lined up the drawer with this line. After centering the drawer with the panel, I marked the holes in the bottom of these metal brackets. From there, I used a metal punch to get the exact center, and then I drew a line with a speed square up for the next holes. There is a slot on the drawer to release the front metal brackets. I then lined them up to get the second hole location. For the plastic clips, I did the same thing as the bottom, starting with the upper of the 2 holes and then drawing a line across. Since I already had the line up from the bottom, I just needed to line the plastic brackets up with where the lines intersected. With all the new hole locations marked, I matched the hole size to a drill bit, and I took the depth and put some painter's tape on the bit to ensure that I did not drill too far and out the other side of the drawer front. I was extra careful as the upper holes go into a thinner part of the drawer front, so I checked frequently to make sure they did not go all the way through. As you can see, the brackets are now moved in for an 18-inch drawer and are moved up to compensate for the extra bottom cabinet panel. The drawer then got these upper support rods installed. Now it was time to install the drawer slides and install the drawer into place. I then used the adjustment screws to get the drawer front positioned evenly with the cabinet and the door beside it. Now I just needed to cut a cover panel to fit above the drawer, leaving a small gap similar to the other doors and drawers. Luckily, this leftover piece was large enough as it was all I had left over of the cover panels. I attached the cover panel using more L brackets and attached it to the side of the cabinet. This was a bit of a tight squeeze to get these in. I had already had a jig and measurements to install the drawer fronts from the other cabinets, so it was pretty quick to get this one installed. After that, it was time to remove the protective coating and give it a quick clean. And that is the final puzzle piece in this kitchen renovation and this series. There will be one more video if you want to see the before and after shots. There'll be a total transformation video, so stay tuned for that, but also stay tuned because we got lots of other renovations coming up.